Let's see, are we getting in there? And hello, everybody. Welcome to In Between the Pages with James Lott Jr. I am James Lott Jr. The JLJ Media, I'm the JLJ of JLJ Media. That's what I want to say. Welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you with us. If you're watching us now or watching us later, let me make sure this chat room is open. If you have any questions that are PG-13 or less, go ahead and put those in the chat and we will see if we can answer them. I've been doing a lot of these shows recently where I'm getting panels of people together who are content creators of some sort or doing things in their various fields and trying to showcase them, especially if they're Black or brown. That's what I'm doing these days. And I'm happy to have three people who I admire and work with, actually all three of them on things. And we're going to talk about life, art and life and everything in between. The first person I'm going to go, I guess it's that way, how it works out there. He's a photographer. He has a wonderful book out, which I thought I was going to bring it over here, but it's somewhere in my house. He's a voice actor. He does two of my shows, Cousins and Cupid's Crossing. And he's just a wonderful person, Mr. Sterling Scott. Hello, Sterling.
Hey, how's it going, James?
It was you. Okay, going down. He is DatYogaDude. That's right, folks. He does yoga. He's an educator. And he's my collaborator in our group J2. I have some music for us to record. I mean, he's a great guy. I'm gonna get him on one of my shows too because I just love his voice. Mr. James Woods.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good. And of course, the one smiling over there. No, I've known him the longest. Music teacher, poet, musician. Podcast is called The Art of Letting Go, which he did with his mom. That was such a great episode. I loved it. And he's a voice actor on my shows too, Mama's Dinner and Fairview Heights. Mr. Mike Brown.
James Lott, it's always good to see you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you, guys. So I want to do a little church announcements. We are JLJ Media. I just celebrated 1 year as an online network. I am one of the few men of color who has his online network. So please support me and hit that subscribe button. Please, come on, people. I work very hard. Hit that subscribe button. I got over 35 shows of different kinds of content, from grandparenthood to left-handedness to soaps and everything in between. So please check that out. And hello, folks in the chat room, coming in the chat room, hello. So please check that out and subscribe and see there might be something on here you want to listen to. I'm also on every audio platform too, which is I'm from Spotify to iHeartRadio, everything all there too. So when you see it somewhere, hit follow. It either says follow or subscribe or like, hit it. Also share it. Share it with anybody who thinks needs to see these shows or whatever. Please share it out there to folks also. And check out some of my friends who are featured on these shows. They're doing hard work also. It's not easy being, someone thinks being Black, another story. It's not easy being a podcaster, a creator, all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of work and we work hard and we love what we do. We work very hard. So please, if you see someone on here, please support them also. I also want to give very special thanks to the Capital City Web Awards, Anthony Anderson's award show, where I won one a couple of years ago. It's over there on the mantle somewhere. I'm nominated for 3 awards, and I really can't believe it. I'm nominated for a Best Entertainment News Series twice, 2 different shows, and for Best Entertainment News Host. So I want to thank you. And some of my friends are also nominated, like Flobo Boyce, who's part of JLJ Media. He's nominated against me. And my friend Carla Renata and Candace Mack with Take 2 Radio. So I want to say thank you to all the nominees. They're all wonderful brown people doing amazing work. Week in, week out. It's not easy doing a podcast, as Mike Brown knows, every week trying to put it together and put out for people to listen to it. It's nice to be recognized. And like I said in my award speech that went viral a couple of years ago, this old guy is very honored. So thank you. Thanks. Those are all the church announcements brought to you by the fine folks at JLJ Media. Hi, guys. I'm going to make a statement, and I want to know what you think when I make this statement. Like literally just what you think. I'm just make a general statement. That's how I'm starting this off. There is hope for Black men. I want you to think about that for a second. And I really want to hear what your honest kind of reactions to that statement. There is hope for Black men. I had this discussion with some Black male friends of mine, and lots of mixed reactions to the statement. And I'm just curious what each of the 3 of you, because you are Black men walking around in America, what's some of your initial thoughts on that? So anyone can go first. I'm not going to pick anybody. I want to see who wants to go first in the statement.
I'll go first. My initial reaction was, of course, there is hope for us as Black men. That why wouldn't there be hope? And then that kind of made me sad to think that there wouldn't be hope for us. It reminded me of earlier Ice Cube when he talked about black men being what is it called? Almost extinct, the like extinct animals. And I never really felt like that completely, but there were some low points for us as black men. I was like, wow, it's pretty dangerous stuff out here, but I never really thought that we would be extinct or we would be in any serious trouble. But then it always brings you back to, why do we still have to constantly be in a struggle? Why do we still have to constantly be aware of the things that not everyone else has to be aware of? So just in that brief statement, in a brief moment, I really went up and down emotionally of course there's hope, and then why do we need hope, and what do we need to hope against? And so it was a lot in a little bit of time for that statement, especially around the powerful word hope.
Yes, around the word hope. That's why I chose that word. Sterling or Mike?
I'll go next. This is a loaded question, James. I just want to start out by saying that because our history here as black men coming, our ancestors coming over here and slave ships, we know this whole history that we have. I have to agree with you and say that there is hope. I agree with my man James down there. There is hope for us, but it's going to take a lot of work, right? And that work is constant. That work is always ever changing because there's always going to be something new that's trying to like push us down or hold us back, right? We've been seeing it. We see laws change. We make some progress, but then they take something else away. So then we have to fight for that too, right? So I think the biggest thing and the biggest takeaway as far as having hope is knowing that like, if we're silent, then that's going to be our death. The death of us is our silence, us not speaking up, us not, even reaching out or saying like, hey, brother, let me give you a hug today. I don't know what you're going through, us supporting one another. Our silence equals our death. That's the utmost important. And then the second thing is realizing that we are the change, that the youth, us, you guys have laid the groundwork. You guys have fought your battles, and then it's time for us to fight our battles, and so on and so forth. So as I have kids and my kids have kids, I'm always like, damn, did I instill in them what they need to make change according to whatever that's going to occur in, in their life. So I think that there is hope for black men. It's just that we can no longer be silent anymore and sit back on the sidelines and let things just occur and happen. We have to, invoke that change and be that change.
Yeah. Mike Brown?
For me, I'm gonna be honest. When I first heard it, I felt like I had to have some type of deep thought towards it. And when I really thought about it, it just was a fact. When I think about black people in general, there's hope for all of us because we all just overcome adversity. I was watching a young lady that tried out for the Olympics, and I can't remember her name, but she was from Dallas, and she was saying her mom passed away last week, and she had
Yeah, I've got her name too. Yeah.
It's always hope for black people.
So my thing, the next follow-up question that is, how do you keep hope as a black person in your field? I know that again, I'm older than all of you. I've been around a long time, but in certain fields, and there are times when you just feel so knocked down by your own people, not even saying black people, but your own colleagues in your field, or a door comes and slams you in the face because of your color. It's hard for you to jump over that hurdle and get to the next step of your career. Like there's things that happen. And also great things happen too because of your color, and there's some things that can happen too. So I just wonder for each of you, how do you kind of, in general, continue the path that you are on, being a black man in America? Because each of you do stuff that's very interesting to me, and I just always wonder, how do you does it matter? Does it not matter? Because like I said, photography, or you doing yoga, you're a music teacher, there's things I've just wondered, does it even matter, or does it matter? You just keep on keeping on, like what's going on?
I'll go first again this time, but next time somebody else gotta go first.
God for sake, come on, people. Go ahead, James. Your name is James, like mine. We talk first.
There it is. In yoga, it is always, people are excited to see me as a black man in that space. And for me to be able to be in the field in general gives people hope, just to see a Black body show up, and especially promoting self-awareness, management of emotions, health, and wellness. So there's always more opportunities for me to share just about yoga and the work that I do, because people know so much about the effects of not practicing healthy and wellness strategies, whether it's yoga, tai chi, or just meditating, breathing, just therapy, whatever, just taking care of yourself. So I'm always met with compassion, love, affection, like, hey, come on in. We want you to do this work. We're happy for you. So I feel like it's going to just keep expanding, hopefully. And I really, it, I would appreciate it if people are not, when it gets to the point where people are like, hey, we're kind of tired of seeing Black male yoga instructors, because y'all everywhere and y'all doing the work. So instead of, oh yeah, we need you, we don't see too many Black male yoga instructors. I want to be, amongst a lot of us who are out there doing the work. So and I think it's happening. I see more Black men getting into the space of health and wellness, being conscious of their mind, their body, and their spirit in a way that is beneficial for everybody. So I'm very hopeful about Black men in the space of healing and wellness, and I'm grateful for it and all the love I've received in being in that space.
He got that goddamn voice. Jesus. I'm like, I would do whatever you tell me to do. Shit. I'm like, oh, sure, okay, bend this way, then that turn that way, take some whatever. I'm like, whatever the fuck he tells me, I just fucking do it. I'm like, that voice is just, I mean, and I have a voice. And people tell me I have a voice, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, sure. I want to actually piggyback off of that, James Woods. You know I'm crazy. You made a statement that I like so much, because when I was your guys' age, it was I have to make it, screw all y'all, bye. It wasn't like I want more people like me around me in my space. You said I want to be crowded, basically, with other Black men in health and wellness. I love that, because I was taught the opposite. It was taught, well, no, I make it. That means I made it out of the ghetto. I'm good. I don't want any competition around me. I don't want to see other faces like mine around me, because that'll take away from me.
Right.
And what you just said was really beautiful. It's like, no, I want so many that there's enough to go around, first of all, which is an unhealthy country. But it's enough to go around. But like, you want to see a sea of yous running around. I just love that. I just want to make sure I would acknowledge that. I love that.
Yeah, because if I don't have others with me, then I just become a token, and I don't have the opportunity to become myself. I'm just, hey, it's the Black yoga guy, and we're going to put him in this space all the time and do this. Like, no, it's James Woods here. And you get me instead of just the tokenism of what I represent. So come on, everybody, let's go. Like you said, it's enough for everybody. And I think that is a lesson that we are beginning to learn more as this generation, as we understand there's a lot of people out here in this world, and it's so many people who are out here just thirsty and hungry for exactly what you have and exactly how you present it. So
yes. Sterling, I want to come to you next, actually, because you were on both sides of the camera, model and all that kind of stuff, but also you're behind the lens capturing life. And so being a Black man, does that play into both sides of this? Does it play into how you, in both worlds, how you present yourself?
Most definitely, right? Because I take both aspects of, modeling and being in front of the camera. Sometimes acting. I've actually done a few more like acting things with some friends, so we'll see that. And then also being behind the camera, having the control, directing. It's like dual faceted, because I'm telling stories on both sides, right? Now, whether I'm in front of the camera, then I'm telling a story about myself, whether it could be, I'm happy or sad, or, hey, this happened, or hey, I'm trying to get somebody to realize something about themselves, and they can see that through me, or being behind the camera, allowing someone to realize something about themselves that they haven't seen, right? And I think it's also important, as a Black man, as a Black photographer, we tell Black stories, because other people can't tell our stories because they don't know us, right? They can try all they want. Sometimes they make beautiful pieces, but it's still, it has that separation. It doesn't have that full effect of like, I know what you've been through because I've been there before, or I know exactly what this feels like, or, Black people, we have that unconscious, well, it's just the head knowledge, like what's up, we know, we automatically know. And it's weird because as an artist, it's hard to really have, I was talking about this the other day, like, damn, I want like a big project to work on, right? And sometimes we don't get those big projects that come, immediately. It takes time. We have to build, we have to plan it out. We got to think about this, we got to think about that, just to get like a basis. And then we start going. And then sometimes that project that we started ends up being something completely different, but it's still great, right? That has been the hardest thing to like keep me motivated, because I'm like, what should I think about? What should I do next? I just did this big book, talking about, about George Floyd and all these things that are going on with racial injustice. And it's like, do I want to go down the same path, or do I want to, kind of twist it up and make something different? But I will say, through my daily life, day to day, when I'm out doing street photography, there are those sometimes when I meet, random people off the street, and then I get to have like, a talk with them and chop it up. Sometimes it's elder people, sometimes it's people my age, men, women, gay, straight, bi, lesbian, whatever, and having those conversations and being able to photograph and capture them, and then talk to them about, their story, how they came up, and they look back at the photos and they're like, oh, wow, so that pushes me, right? Because that's a form of healing in itself. I really think that the camera does a great job of healing people. And sometimes we always want to be the prettiest, or we want to, look the best when we get in front of that camera. But sometimes taking a photo of ourselves when we're not at the best can really be eye-opening, and say like, okay, damn, like you still got this, or, you're going through this, but remember these photos, right? You allowed yourself to be free, and look at that freedom and hang on to that. So, it's like a wave, right? But I think the biggest thing with photography is making sure that, I tell our stories of people that look like us. And then also, just like James is saying, it's like, there might be a young cat that picks up a camera and says like, oh, damn, Sterling's in front of the camera, he's behind the camera, like I can do this too. So trying to encourage other people to, pursue their own passion and their own art, without being like, oh, well, I'm this token, or I'm this and that. It's like, no, you're you, and you're a photographer, you're an artist, you're a creative.
Yeah, it's funny because we when it comes to, I see some of your work, I love it. Of course, you did my family's things we had recently, and I have your book, and it's funny because we do have to tell the stories, because we're uniquely tied together. It's something that, not saying a person who's not Black cannot get something out of you, but it's just something maybe more authentic you'll get out of them when you're both similar. I'm not saying all Black folks are the same either. I'm not saying that either. But there's some things I always say are just unspoken between people of the same kind of cultural backgrounds. There's some things that are just spoken when you're the same coloring. There's some things that are just inherent. I think I believe that in my 52 years of my life. I believe that strongly. There's just some things that it's kind of this is how it is. And in art, the representation matters. It really does matter. Just seeing that person, like James, you both just said, seeing you do this, that could be enough for anybody. And I didn't have a lot of that growing up. I just didn't, not for things I was into. I didn't have a lot of that. I had to make my way. It was funny. I did a show 2 weeks ago called "Yep, I'm Fat Again." I did it, but I'm finding, even yesterday, I was doing a speaking engagement, and a person goes, I watched your show about being fat again. And I totally related to, like, it was funny. You never know what you do and how you look, how another person who looks like you too goes, I'm not alone. I totally relate to that. And I did the title as a kind of a clickbait kind of, I talk about I gained 60 pounds in the last COVID. So I talk about that. And I just talk about it honestly, because I didn't want to pretend to be pretty. I don't want to front and like, I'm going to take the neck up. I'm not going to do all that. It's like, I'm going to be me, because someone out there is feeling ashamed and feeling alone. And I think what you both are doing is, I noticed all three of you guys are actually doing stuff that's actually giving back to our community. I just realized like that. I realized now that all three of you guys are doing stuff that's like that. So I just wanted to make sure I say that. And Mike Brown, so I want to go to you now, because you and I have the whole openly queer Black thing going on. The dual thing, which is rough in the Black community and the queer community, and in general in life. And you doing music and poetry and your podcast. How are you doing with all that?
Honestly, I kind of use it to fuel myself. like you said, being all those things that you mentioned, I didn't have an example of what it was like to be a Black man or a gay Black man in that sense. So in everything I represent, I feel like I have to do that, even all the way down to being a teacher. You know what I mean? Like my school did a pride celebration this year, and I felt a bit of fear being a part of it just because I've never been so open at a job. But it was also like, if I don't do this, who doesn't get to see this representation? You know, so I take that, and kind of going back to what you were saying earlier, I know we kind of got off of it, but I really embrace love a lot. So I don't really pay too much attention to hate. And, you know, during those times where I do feel hopeless, you know, it could be a text from somebody that says, I see what you're doing, or somebody saying how something has affected them. So I take all of that in as fuel to keep going with what I'm doing.
It's very true. You know, you never know. My grandparents always say, you never know who you can make smile. You know, you can piss off. That's easy to do, but you never know who you can make smile. And sometimes it is in that weird time. You'll be sitting there feeling a little down, and that text comes through, and you're just like, I totally needed this. Or you go online and someone says something nice to you about your work or about you, just goes, I love that picture. Oh, it's like, it's the pick me up you needed. It's like I always say, God provides. It's always this weird thing where just all of a sudden it comes at the right time. I always tell people, just kind of, sometimes you got to sit back and just, you know, and things will happen. You know, it's supposed to happen. But I always say that Black folks, and Black men especially, because we're about Black men, we can't stop. I feel like we just can't. I mean, I'm tired, I'm old and tired, but I'm not stopping. I'm going to go until God says it's time for you to come home, James, and that's it. I mean, I'm going to keep going until I can keep talking and moving and whatever. You're not going to stop me. And I feel like we don't have the luxury to stop. I feel like that's a thing for us. We can't just say, okay, I give up. That's it. But you know what Sterling and what James both said about having to speak up and speak out. We have to, or else we'll wither and die on the vine, right? I mean, we just have to, right? Do you find it? Well, I'll go to Sterling first this time. Do you find it easier to speak out as you're moving along in your life? Still tough?
Yeah, it's still tough. It's still tough for me, but sometimes you get that feeling in your gut where you're like, you know what, enough's enough, and you can't do it. And really, for me, what really I'm kind of like the type of guy that kind of sits back on the sidelines. You know, I don't like too much drama. I don't like too much, you know, hassle or anything like that, especially confrontation. Not to say that I won't stand up, because, like, you know, someone's trying, you know, but like confrontation for me is like a no-go. I'm so laid back. And seeing all this stuff that was happening last year with George Floyd and all the others, Breonna Taylor that I've passed, and being out there on the front lines, you know, I just had this like epitome, you know, you can't sit back anymore as much as you want to. And it has nothing to do with you. Like, you're not a bad person for sitting back. I'm not saying that. Some people, it's just not for them. But for me, it's like, there comes a moment when you have to make a decision. And that decision is either you're going to stay on this side of the line or you're going to cross the line. And I guess the hardest thing is thinking about that judgment, right? And I think that's what I'm most afraid of. It's like being judged. Someone like, oh, you did that, you know, or side-eyeing you. And it's not a good feeling, because it's like, damn, like, you're supposed to know who I am. You should know what I stand up for. Matter of fact, you should be with me, you know, when I cross that line, because you say that you my partner, you my road dog, this, that, and the third. So yeah, it's not easy, but I have been finding myself speaking out a lot more in certain circumstances, whether that's what I'm seeing right now, Black people going through their healthcare and not getting fair or good enough access. You know, that's something that I'm constantly dealing with. And I'm like, okay, you know, I have to speak up. Or using, you know, the little medical background that I do have, it's like, I have to speak up with that. Got to speak up for Black rights as far as this racial injustice is concerned. Speaking up for, you know, just in your own crowds with your family, like, yo, that's not cool. You know, don't say that. That's not cool anymore. As much as we're like, but we want to be cool, we want to be appreciated, you know, we want to be this, we want to be that. We don't want to seem like we're ruining the party. Sometimes it's just not okay, and we have to speak up, you know. So in your own time, I feel like everyone will be able to get to that point, at least to some degree. I'm definitely experiencing that now. I can't say that I'm this big big, bold, like no means no, you know, nothing like that. But, you know, like I said, when that fire, you know, swells up to the point where I'm like, okay, you know, I got to release this, then, you know, I got to say what I got to say.
I want to go back to Mike for a second because he's another one of those guys who's quiet too, but you have a voice, and I've known you for a long time. I'm seeing you are starting to really become more bolder. That's a horrible grammar, but you know what I mean. You're getting bolder and bolder. And I have a degree, folks. I do. I swear I do. I have a doctorate. I swear. But you are. I do. I worked hard for it too. Trust me. But you are getting. I'm seeing you're getting bolder in some of your choices. You're getting bolder in that, and so I've interviewed you many times. So how are you feeling these days? With speaking of him, like Sterling said, in your boldness to actually speak up or speak out.
I feel a lot more comfortable in it. I think it took me a while because I was definitely like a people pleaser, and also like I've tried not to be confrontational. So it would be easier to not speak up for myself, but now it almost feels harder. And I feel like I wear my emotion on me so much. So it's either seen or felt when I'm feeling something. And for me, it's like rather than holding that in, like I might as well speak it because I have no control over how somebody else feels about my truth. So that's kind of what got me through it. Just recognizing like if I'm being honest with people, you know, I have no control on what the outcome of that is.
No. And I'm going to you, James, because you do something. I'm going to switch gears a second because you do something called 15 Seconds of Freedom. I watch it every morning on Instagrams. And so I was going to ask you, so how do you find for you, James Woods, how do you find you're happy during times like this? Being a Black man in America, all the news, all the videos on Instagram, everything that's going on. How are you finding you're happy?
My happy is fleeting because of all the stuff where I look and I tap into media or whatever, and then it's something that just pisses me off. It's something that makes me sad, something that makes me concerned, but it really makes me dig down into my joy. And really, my joy is on that internal piece. And a part of that is, like you just said, knowing that, hey, the stuff that I make, the stuff that I put out there, other people are checking out, other people are, it's helping them to find their happy, helping them to find their joy, helping them to stay connected. But it really brings me a lot of joy to be able to express myself. I'm another person who I spend a lot of time just keeping things to myself, not fully being expressed, avoiding confrontation. But for me to be able to meditate on a thought and express it through the different mediums that I've found, it brings me joy to still have a voice, even though in media and different representations, I see sadness, I see despair, I see a lot of pain. And being able to express and not just sit in that pain helps me to keep my joy, even though sometimes my happiness is gone as soon as I turn on my phone. I still can rely on my joy, that internal deep well of peace and love and happiness and calm and just, you know, love, peace and chicken grease and all that within me. Um, it really is a well that I have to dig into, and just let those emotions of happy, sad, angry, blah, blah, let them go and come back to my joy by just expressing truly where I'm at and who I am, and knowing whose I am and why I'm here. So thank you. I appreciate that question. I think about that.
Because I come from. Oh, go ahead, Sterling. Please say something, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of James and Mike. Actually, James, you hit the nail on the head when you said happiness is always fleeting, right? Happiness comes and goes. We can be happy at one moment, we could look at a picture and then start crying, right, and then be sad. But our joy is always like within us. Our joy ain't going nowhere. So for everybody that's out there, look to your joy and not so much happiness, right? Because happiness is always going to be up or down. And then the other thing that Mike was saying that really hit home for me is you said speaking your truth. And that's like the most important part. And when we speak our truth, and I think when we get in these situations, speaking our truth is to say that we can't be mad or we can't feel no type of way that we might offend somebody else. If you're offended at our truth, then that's on you. That has everything to do with that person, but not with our own selves. So I just wanted to like highlight both of those things because, those are things that I try to like implement in my own life, to encourage me to keep doing what I'm doing. So.
No, I love that because, you know, I told this to a friend of mine who does social justice work and was like telling me, well, you know, we can't be happy until everybody's happy or something like that. I'm like, that's not the point. That's not the point. I said, then they win. I look at my ancestry and, you know, I come from slaves from my mother's side, my father's side of the family. And they found moments of joy while they were slaves. I mean, there were many stories about how they had to figure it out. They were in this inhumane situation, but they had to figure out. And much of their joy became the food we eat today, became the music we listen to today, became the clothes we wear today, the hair we have today, was because they did find within their situation. So I feel like we have a right and we deserve to have happiness and joy and laughter. You know, I like to laugh all the time. I feel like we deserve it. If we're just around being angry black men all day long, that really doesn't serve a purpose. We could be mindful and purposeful all the time, but I'm allowed to have some drinks and like yuck it up and talk shit to my friends. I mean, I'm allowed to do that every once in a while to take a break from what's going on that goes on all the time. So I love that you guys are saying that. I use the word happy on purpose because I know it's one of 20,000 emotions we can have in a given day, right? But I look at my stepdad, you know, who picked cotton before he went to school, you know, in South Carolina. He had to pick cotton for 3 hours, then go to school and be treated like second class citizens at school. And then, you know, I mean, I just think if they can do it, you know, and he still found joy. He got married, had kids. So I mean, still did stuff. I can do it too. And we all, I mean, but I think we deserve it also. Because we, you know, as black men, you know this, we're constantly know what's the odds are against us. We know it already, right? Mm-hmm. Now we already know. So to actually, but we don't think about it all the time, but we're aware of it. I guess that's kind of thing. So I'm gonna actually ask you, Mike, how do you find happy moments, knowing that this is stuff that as soon as you leave your house, well, now you don't leave your house anymore. You wake up and something could happen to you. I mean, like I said, I could change that language. How do you find your moments of joy then?
This might sound bad, but I don't feel too plugged into the world, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I live in my own bubble. And I pay attention to some things, but a lot of times, like you said, finding that happiness can come from painting or going to the beach or going for a walk. I walk a lot to clear my mind. I journal in the mornings. I try to find things that make me feel good and do more of those things and connect to people that make me feel good. Yeah, because I feel like it's always going to be good things going on in the world. It's always going to be bad things going on in the world. So sometimes I'm just choosing to tap into which ones I want to tap into when I want to.
I think you're right. You're right to do that. You're a grown man. You're right to do that. I always say this. How I always say this. We all have our place in the world, right? So some folks are on the front lines 24/7. God bless them. Have a good time. I'll see you later at Fridays or whatever. Now there's some folks who are like kind of like us, who are in the middle somewhere, where we speak out when we need to. I do things. I employ people on my shows that are black and showcase black talent. Whatever I do, a retweet or whatever. So that's in the middle. Then there's folks who I feel like they have a right to kind of be okay. I'm going to pick and choose what I want to see, what I want to handle, what I want to speak out on. I don't want to be the Black voice of America. You know, I don't want to do all that. I feel like, but all of us have a right to our place within that. So you shouldn't feel bad. Yeah. You feel like just it's your play. It's your thing.
I appreciate that. And kind of going back to what you were saying, I feel like I am the fuel for the front line. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Like I don't have to, you know, do the Black History celebration because I am Black History. I don't have to do a Pride celebration because I am Pride. You know, so I just live my life, and you know, I let whatever the outcome is going to be when it's done, I'll let somebody else decide that. But right now, I just have to focus on living it so I can enjoy it to the best of my ability.
Well, there is something about living as an example. So I was always saying about that. I mean, I'm very aware people watch me, so I'm very highly aware what I do gets noticed, and in my as a father and grandfather, to also be in a public eye. So so what you're saying, I totally get. I try to be James Lott Jr. 24/7. So, you know, and all of you guys know me. I am this is me. all the time. And so but I'm aware of that. I'm highly aware of that. And I kind of watch that. So Sterling and to James, are you aware of your presence out in the world? Are you hyper aware of it when it comes to other people, or as Black men, or how do you guys handle that, navigate? Or I should say not handle it, how do you guys navigate that?
I'll go. I'm pretty aware of it, most times. Navigating is definitely a different story. I just, I just try to be mindful, right? And then I think navigating, I always just try to be me. So living my truth, living as authentically and genuinely as I can, that's the most important, especially when you're interacting with different people, because you don't want people, who may not know each other, or they might know each other and then they meet you and then like, okay, well, I met, Sterling, the good Sterling, and then, this person met the bad Sterling. So it's like, I don't want that in my life, nor do I want people like speaking things about me that just aren't true because they perceive something or anything like that. So I always try to be me, authentically me 24/7. So it's like, if you met me, yesterday, you're going to get the same me tomorrow. You're going to get the same me on Instagram, the same me on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. It's always going to be the same Sterling. So
same here. But I know there's a fine line though, sometimes when you're with non-Black folks sometimes, and you're like, okay, I'm not here to represent every Black person in America. I mean, but you know that they're watching you too, right. And whatever you do will influence them. So it's a fine line, and that's hard.
Yeah, it's a fine line, and again, it's one of those things where, if I'm speaking my truth, then I can't feel some way if someone gets offended. So if I'm speaking the truth, or I feel this way about something, and then someone hits that unfollow button, I can't be like, you know what, I'm so sorry that I didn't please you today. I'm just like, you know what, you're not for me. And that's where I'm really getting to. I'm getting to these points where like some people just don't deserve me, or some people just aren't for me. If you got to unfollow me, go and follow me. Like, I'm not tripping. I'm still gonna be here. You can come right back. You can get some more. Yeah, I'll serve you up some more information. I'll serve you up some more truth about, how I feel, how I live. But if that gets too uncomfortable for you, then that has everything to do with you, And I think that's how we should look at life as Black. It's not just Black people in general. Yeah. We need to live authentically us, and we see it all the time, more and more so now because of social media. But now we also got to get to the point where we're like, you know what? Some people just aren't for us. Some people just aren't deserving of us,
It's funny. I did a show. I went on IG Live not too long ago, one night, and my hair was wild. It was just wild and crazy, and I was talking about it. And actress Christy Ferris, who's a friend of mine, came on. She's like, James, here's my wild hair. She showed her wild hair, and we talked about that, about how it's like, yeah, we have different textures of hair, and sometimes it's just not done, and sometimes it's all over the place, and it's still beautiful. And I was like, to me, she's beautiful. I was like, you're beautiful. I mean, like, even with this wild hair, you're still beautiful. It's like, there's something magical about you. And she's like, James, your hair is beautiful too. Like, you have healthy hair. Like, it's like, even with hair and stuff, as Sterling and James know about this too, there's always this stuff in our hair. But it was like look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at it. And Sterling got big long hair too. His is all braided up right now.
Oh, let's see. I can't pull it.
Let's see what's going on.
You're doing it though. I tried. I can't.
No, you see, people go to Sterling's guy. You'll see his pictures on it. So he has hair out to here and everything, and I love it. But I think it's one of those things of just like, again, you're being yourself. And if you don't like seeing my natural hair, then it's on you, not me. I mean, I'm blessed to have hair. I know a lot of folks who can't grow hair, so I do not complain. I do not complain at all. And so, James, so the question, I guess, goes to you now about that, and how do you representation of yourself?
Yeah, I definitely would say my Blackness is a lot less reactionary to other people. Growing up in diverse environments, and even growing up with family, sometimes I would make my Blackness reactionary to whatever someone was giving me. So if I'm in a space where it's predominantly white, I'm going to react how they think a Black person is supposed to react. Or even if some family that's different than other family, like, okay, I'm gonna become a little bit more Blacker here, or put a little bit. So it's a lot less reactionary, as I don't feel like doing that heavy work of being somebody else and just settling into more peaceful existence of trying to be me or just being me, not even trying it. I was walking in the city of Montclair, like downtown Montclair. It's a suburb out here. I'm walking down the street and I see this lady pick up her purse and do the whole clutch the purse thing.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
I was a little bit like, wait, don't you know, I do yoga and I'm, I got degrees. I'm nice. I'm sweet. What do you, but just forgetting sometimes that me showing up in the world in a black hoodie in a downtown area where just I don't know what was going through her mind and her head. She might have got assaulted by somebody who looked like me or whatever, but letting that go and coming back to just the part of being me and who I am, and not having to react in a certain way based on what she thought or even what I thought, and just understanding, hey, this is me, this is what I'm looking like, this is what I'm feeling like today, whether I have a hoodie on or a suit on. People are going to react to me, but me just being authentically myself is just the work I live and I do. So just try not to be as reactive to people and just authentically being myself as much as I can, whatever that means in that day, in that moment, in that second.
Well, I'll tell you, all three of you know this because we all have distinct looks. Some of you are super tall, Mike Brown. Some of us had different hair or whatever. I've noticed since growing this, I'm getting different reactions. When I had a shaved head and a goatee, big old black man walking down the street, I got many different reactions to that. Growing this out, people seem friendlier to me all of a sudden. They're like, "Oh my God, the kid and play," all that stuff. They seem friendlier to me. So I'm seeing the difference. I'm seeing seriously the difference. Or you look so young, and oh my God. Hey. So it's like, it's a very different reaction than being shaved head, goatee, however I'm dressed, walking down the street, and people thinking I'm mean or thinking I'm this or thinking I'm like assuming certain things. Mike Brown did play basketball, of course, but I'm sure a lot of tall folks who don't, I know friends who don't play basketball and they're super tall. Like, we get these kind of assumptions, you and your hair. I'm like, I think it's more, I hate to say revolutionary because it's just such I don't want to use that word, but I just feel like the fact that we do stand in ourselves and grow our hair out however we want to, or shave it however we want to, and walk the streets, that's almost political. Like, that's a great thing to me. I love that. I just think you have degrees. Like you said, you have degrees. I have degrees. We all have things. We're all smart black men who are nice people. Like, why does the outward appearance matter so much as a reaction to us? This bugs the shit out of me.
Yeah. But I don't think it's just with white folks. I think with black folks as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That reaction. So I think the thing that I'm starting to learn as I'm maturing is that, like, people are people across the board. Because the same stuff that white folks have done to me, I've had black folks do to me as well. And I don't know, maybe I'm the alien.
No. Well, no. Here's the thing, Mike. I always say there's a lot of sameness out there actually between us and other people. We actually we want the same 4 or 5 things. We want good sex. I know I do. We want good food. I know I do. We want some good entertainment. We want to be loved. We want to be supported. We want to be respected. There's certain things I think everybody wants.
Right.
If we all can remember that, literally, it'd be a better world, right? We all want that. But there are some differences that happen, usually because the differences are put on us, right? So Mike, you're not really an alien. I get what you're saying. It's like it's kind of like there are things that are common amongst everyone out there. It just happens that, like, for me, I've had more racism in Los Angeles than I have in the South. People think I'm crazy when I say that. I go to the South all the time. I really haven't had that much racism. Maybe a few times in Atlanta. But I've gone to Louisiana, Texas, where I actually was fine. I saw a lot of my people running around. It was fine. But here in Los Angeles, I've been called the N-word at least 100 times. To me, it's very interesting, right? It's like you would think it'd be the opposite, right? So there are stereotypes of stuff that we need to debunk. So I'm with you, Mike Brown. So I'm with you. I know, I understand that. I do. It's not just not just black stuff, but I get it. So I was going to say, James, you going to say something?
No, I was just agreeing with Mike and that, like I was saying, me even reacting to blackness within my own family of, hey, we need you to be like this. And it's unsaid, it's unspoken, but you show up and your hair is this way, or you show up not the way they saw you before, and it's certain reaction is there. So just being authentically me, working on doing that in front of whoever eyes, whether the eyes are in the somebody black head, yellow, green, purple, orange head, just somebody eyes is always something that I used to have to felt like I had to react to, was just letting it go, leaving it alone.
Do you guys all consider yourselves creatives? I know some of you are educators, but I just wonder if you consider yourselves a creative.
I definitely do. I see myself as a creative. I use whatever opportunity I have to be able to create, whatever information I have to be able to create, whether I'm speaking, teaching yoga, um, doing a workshop or something. It always is, let me use what I currently have to help somebody create a sense of healing for themselves, of peace, and creating that own joy within themselves. So I like to create opportunities for other people to create within themselves. So yes.
What makes you laugh the most? Is there anything that just makes you laugh? You see it or hear it, it just bust you up.
What makes me laugh the most? I think it's those people, just people doing it when people are not being watched and they just do something, like they trip over something, or they put their hand where they shouldn't put their hand, or just people like forgetting that they are in the world with other people, and they're doing the things that people do in public. That makes me laugh, just catching people being people in public.
What makes you laugh, Sterling?
Oh, shit, everything. I can hardly stop smiling, man. Like everything makes me laugh. I'm sorry. Like I've always been a happy kid. So, I've always had this smile. Like that's the first thing that people recognize about me.
Yes, you have a very good smile. Very good smile.
So like I've always just laughed like, shit, I don't know. There's not one thing in particular, but I think the thing that makes me laugh the most is like when you're with friends and you're close friends and they just do stupid, like silly shit, where you're like, did you just do that? Like that just makes me crack up, like digging in their nose or something stupid where you're like, why? Like, I just can't stop laughing.
I love that. Mike Brown makes you laugh.
I would definitely say like being around like people that I love, that just like you said, like James said earlier, like just kind of naturally just being themselves. And like James, for example, has like a weird elbow, and sometimes when I see it, it makes me laugh.
Oh my! Okay, now I want to see the weird elbow. What's the weird elbow? Oh, dang!
Damn.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting scared now. That ain't.
I know. I'm like, okay. Well, James, you have to explain. I'm sorry, Mike. I have to ask James really quick. What is that? Like,
I'm gonna turn my camera off now.
I was like, what? I mean, you're still beautiful. It's okay, it's okay. No, I'm like, what is that exactly? Is that an injury, or is that just natural? Or
yeah, when I was a kid, I got hit by a car, and then I got hit by a car while on my bike, and then afterwards, when I was riding my bike, I was kind of a little, I wouldn't say traumatized, because that word wasn't around when I was a kid, I felt like, but I was just weird about riding a bike, and I kind of hit a curb wrong, and it hit my elbow at the wrong point, and I was being a kid, and I didn't take care of it, so I didn't wear my cast, and so it didn't heal right, so can't straighten out all the way. I don't know if you can.
Yes, it's a trip. It's
Yeah,
a trip. Oh my goodness, that is a trip. Wow.
Doesn't stop me from doing yoga or anything else.
Really not.
Hey, that's your left elbow?
My left elbow, my little chicken wing.
No, you're good, bro. Fun fact, I actually dislocated my left elbow. So it's not weird like that, but it's like one arm, it doesn't extend all the way. So
okay.
Oh, it doesn't.
No,
Look what you started, Mike Brown. What the F's going on over here? These one-armed men. What's going on over here?
You know what? Lately, I've laughed at myself a lot. Sometimes when I'm reflecting and just thinking about experiences that I've had and how I handled them in those moments, and looking back at like just how I would have probably handled it different, like I find those things to be funny as well.
I laugh myself all the time. All the time. I'm like James Lott Jr. Why did you do that? I all the time. I laugh. I mean, it's almost constant. I laugh myself. And It was funny because the other day, of course, I was on Jimmy Kimmel. Everybody knows Jimmy Kimmel Live. I was on that. And it got me lots of attention and all that stuff. And now it's linking to my other viral moment, the bread refrigerator video on TikTok. That's haunting me. So now people are making the connection. So now it's re-energized, this whole thing for me. So I had to laugh the other day because I was looking at some of the reaction videos, and I was laughing. I was like, okay, that one's funny. That one's racist. That one's funny. That one's racist. That one. It's been very. So the other night I was kind of laughing at myself and going, God, James, that 8-second video, 8 seconds, and my life was changed. This weird, stupid thing. So I did laugh myself. I actually had a big laugh the other night about that. It's like, you have to laugh, right? You don't cry all the time. Shit. You guys, okay, so as we're wrapping up, I want to find out where you guys are at right now in your lives. Like what's kind of going on for you creatively. We'll start with you, Sterling. I know, but you're doing stuff with me, obviously, on JLJ Media and stuff, but you're also, how are you doing with the photography and what's going on?
Good, pretty good. I actually, on Juneteenth, I ended up vending at the Fountain Theater. Definitely go see their show, The Octoroon. I think it's still playing. I think it plays through the end of this summer. So definitely check them out. Great satire about race. But I ended up vending some of my artwork out there and actually sold some pieces. So that was pretty good. So making like some connections there and doing my thing. It was actually a pretty big deal. One of the pieces that I sold was Breonna Taylor's name in flowers that they did on Crenshaw. And then the other one was a piece that I had, it was shown in the New Black City with BLM at the Museum of Social Justice. So it's called Hoop Dreams, and it's like a kid in Leimert Park, and he's playing on the back of the hoop bus. So two very pieces that are close to my heart, and people just taking the time to stop and view my work, but then to be like, you know what, we deserve to buy your work for the price that it deserves and not undercut me. It meant the most that they really got that message. So, I got some other things that I'm planning and trying to push through. More so centered around community events and doing, portraiture stuff. So definitely look out for that, on socials once I, get the planning and talking to the people and getting that underway. But for the most part, I'm just doing my thing, street photography, and whoever wants to be a model, James, Mike, James. I'm always down to create and do some wonderful stuff. So, all it is a call, just hit me up.
Well, congratulations on selling your pieces. That is a big deal. If someone related to your stuff decided to purchase it, right. That's the next level step. I mean, people can say, I love that, and then it just sits there. But they actually purchased it. That is a big deal. So congratulations to you that they liked your vision. That's really good. James Woods, my favorite people. What's going on with you these days?
I've decided to invest more into myself these days, and really me speaking and sharing about social emotional wellness and mental health and wellness. Yoga is a huge part of what I do, but it's just a part. So I'm investing more into doing my speaking and my workshops and my training. So slow down and going deeper instead of wider with the work that I do. And primarily I worked a lot with children, and now that school's out and summer's here, I'm taking the opportunity to really get deeper into my craft, deeper into my information, so I can be more of value and service to people when I do speak and present. And I want to get even creative with that on how I present it, and including more mediums and a lot more fun stuff into the way I present about wellness and mental health and yoga as a strategy for us to really feel better, live better, and feel free. So I'm excited to invest more into myself and just really take time and say no to some things while I say yes to me and developing my own creativity. So nervous and anxious about that, but also very excited to start to work on that. Looking forward to it.
Well, you are amazing, James Woods. You know that. So I admire you very much. Mike Brown, how you doing these days creatively?
I'm doing really good. I'm doing some voice acting with JLJ Media.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow night, actually. So yes, we're doing some stuff. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Still just moving with the podcast, putting out some new merch this summer, some stuff I've been working on. But I don't know, really just with everything I'm doing, just trying to empower people and inspire people to do whatever it is that they want to do. Music has been kind of circling back around for me, like for people wanting me to help them finish projects and compose music for them and stuff. And I feel in a lot better space about it. Just because I think I saw myself when I first started doing music in a one-dimensional way of like, this is the only thing I'm doing and the only thing I'm creating. And now kind of looking at my whole life as a creation, it's like, oh, this is just, like James said, another medium for me to do what I do in. So it feels a lot easier, and it's been coming more to me, and I'm accepting that and just welcoming it in my world right now.
I'm always rooting for you. You know that.
I appreciate it.
So last thing, because it is my network and it's all about me. Just kidding. I have to ask each of you, what is one thing that you've learned about that you take away from about what I do as a creative? What is one thing that you've learned from me? And we'll start with Sterling.
Spot. The biggest thing that I learned from you, James, is that you can always make a way for yourself, because you're into so many different avenues, and you never let anything stop you from doing something that you wanted to do. You were just like, I'm going to find a way to do it. And that's been encouraging in my life, because sometimes I get to the point where like, how am I going to do this? And then, sometimes it's like, you don't have to do much, or you don't need a whole lot to figure it out and do it. Just go and do it, and put it out there, and who knows what may happen, instead of being like, oh, I shouldn't do this because someone's going to say, no, just go and do it. So that's the biggest thing I've seen from your work, James.
Well, thank you, and remember that. Don't make your way. Mike Brown.
I would say the biggest thing I learned from you, because I feel like I've learned a lot, but just being confident in your work and what you're doing and who you are, and not being afraid to like really believe in what you're doing. Also staying consistent, and just keeping it pushing, like not getting caught up in numbers and stats and money, and just creating what you want to create simply for the joy of creating. Yeah, like you're one of those people, every time I have an idea, it's always like, yeah, do that. And seeing you do so many things, like I'm able to do that because I've had so many people in my life tell me I need to finish something before going to the next thing. And I see you, and it's like I'm doing it in real time, so I appreciate that.
Because sometimes you can still get to the path you want to go to, but this other yes may get you there faster or take you there better. You never know. You should never censor yourself. That's always, I'm glad you get that message. So yes, you want to do something, just do it. Yeah, do it. And my buddy, James Woods.
And please don't let me forget, but I have a question for you too.
Okay.
Before we get out of here, I take from you to put fun into what you do. Everything I see that you do, you set it up and you structure it for you to have fun and for you to pour your whole self into it. So you really make it seem like this is just, we're lucky to get a piece of your life. And it's structured in a way where we get your personality, we get your enthusiasm, and even your personal, you include your personal life in there. And just previously learning about business and doing things like, you keep yourself out of it, but watching you pour your whole self into it and making it fun gives me permission to do it for myself too. So thank you.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you. You all can do it. I'm an example that everyone can do it. I mean, I can do it. You can all do it too. And you can just work it out, folks. Don't censor yourself. That's my number one thing. Don't censor yourself. What was your question, James Woods?
In the year 2037, there's going to be a monument, maybe bronze, in the middle of in Inglewood, somewhere in Inglewood, and it's going to be the James Lott Jr. statue standing tall. What do you want at the bottom of that statue? What words, phrases, images do you want at the bottom of your memorial statue in Inglewood?
Wow, that's a really good question. Oh my God, I don't. 2037. I'll be old. Shit. I'll be like my 70s or something by then. Okay, what would I want about it? I always, I guess the phrase I would want on there, because I thought about this once before about like what phrase would remember you by. I thought James did it. I've done many careers. I've had many lives. I did it. James he did it. It might be James Lott Jr. did it, because that's just one word, James Lott Jr. James Lott Jr. did it. That's literally all I want on there. That's it. It's like just that, because that's how I live my life. I live my life fully. Just I want to try this. I'm going to try it. I want to do it. I'm going to do it. I follow through. I'm not a person who talks about things to death. I talk about it and I do it. So I think if that's my legacy for people, that James did it, then that means you can do it too, I guess. Any pictures or anything? I don't know. I mean, I have my life. I always tell people I don't want a funeral. I want people to just remember me in some form, whether it's hilarious or shady or sweet. Remember me in some form, or go somewhere that I loved, or eat something that I liked, or wear a shirt that I liked. I wanted to watch a show that I just wanted to remember me that way. I'm just the guy who just happened to come to Earth and live my life here. So I mean, I kind of feel like that's it. But that's a really great question. Just James Lott Jr. did it. I would want on the bottom of it, just say he did it, and then list all of my jobs I ever had. That's what I want on there. I want every single goddamn job that I ever did. I want it all on there, from nurse to producer to writer, director. I'm a minister. I want every letter after my name on there. I want all 20 letters. I want everything on there.
That's dope. I love it.
That's what I want. But James, that's a good question. That's a good question.
And one more. What hairstyle is going to be on the statue?
Oh, that's a good question, because I've had so many hairstyles. Probably my shaved head goatee, probably, because that's the one I had the longest, off and on. Gotcha. Probably that one. I don't know. It could be a collage of hairstyles. I mean, I've had every one. I've had afros and fades, and I've had everything. I've had straight hair. I've had everything. But I don't know. I'm like, this one would be kind of nice. It's all high and crazy. I don't know, shaved on sides. I don't know. I'm crazy. I don't know. I hope it's a good picture. I hope I look like this one. I'm like 70 or 80 years old for the bronze. I wouldn't look the same. You know, black don't crack. Well, hold on. I'm 52 years old, kids. I'm trying to hold on. That part. I drink lots of water. That's everybody. So that works. That's a really good question. I love it. That's a really good question. Everybody, this was In Between the Pages with James Lott Jr. I'm going to do more of these panel discussions with amazing people like these three. I'm going to have each of them tell you where you can find them on the social medias, just in case you want to follow up more with them. And we'll start with Sterling. Where can they find you?
Most of it is on Instagram. It's Sterling Scott, so my name and then an underscore, and then photography is at Sterling and then _gold_. So.
Follow him. Don't forget the underscores. Follow him. Mike Brown, where can they follow you in your podcasts?
You can find me on all streaming services at the Art of Letting Go podcast, on Instagram, or all social media, the Art of Letting Go podcast, and the Art of Letting Go podcast.com coming this month.
And the merch is on. You can find it there too, right?
Yes.
I got to buy one of your shirts. I got to do that. And DatYogaDude, please, someone can find you and what you're doing.
DatYogaDude.com, DatYogaDude. Instagram, DatYogaDude. Facebook, I'm on TikTok now. Everything is DatYogaDude, DatYogaDude. Thank you.
On TikTok,
You're talking.
I'm on there. I'm on there too. We're trying to work it out. I know, it's a little crazy. And of course, you can follow me. We're all James Lott Jr. is sold at James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. Please, and JLJ Media is everywhere. Also, follow us there. Please, everyone, take care of yourselves, take care of your community, lift each other up, and